That's why you're blocked. Blocked.
That's why you're blocked. You're listening to That's Why You're Blocked podcast.
Hey.
It's your favorite deadbeat podcast host.
How y'all doing?
It's embarrassing.
It is truly, utterly, undeniably, but you know, better late than never.
At a certain point, we just gonna have to stop apologizing about
Well,
it.
yeah, I think we
jump in.
just forget about it. But Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all. It's 2022, season 3 of the pandemic.
And season 3 of the podcast. That's what we'll call
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, you know, welcome back. Oh, them lashes. Okay, sorry. We're in a co-working space and we feel really official. Well, at least I do. All right. So, how you been? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
A long minute.
I've been good. I've been thinking about next steps. I'm definitely not returning back to my job in the fall or next year. The next, fiscal year cycle. So I've been thinking about next steps. And I've actually been entertaining the idea of, at first I was like, okay, I'm just going to go back to grad school full time in the fall. And now I'm entertaining the idea of doing nothing this fall. Like no particular, maybe like a remote job, like a part-time something, but no particular grad program or no particular like full-time job where I have to go in every day and just see how it feels. I don't think I've ever done that. Not had a job or not had a program or not had something pressing to do.
It's going to be cool for like a week. And then you're going to be into something else.
Says Carson. Dang, we didn't even say who we are. Dang, it's been a minute. We didn't even say like.
Well, at this point,
podcast.
I feel like they know. But yeah, you're right. Hi, my name is Carson Bailey.
And I'm Chanel Schatz.
That's why you're blocked. Honestly, y'all should block. I don't want to say y'all should block us, but
everyone knows you got to unblock somebody at least twice. So I feel like we're on number 2. So if we do it one more time, it's over. But So I probably will. I'm definitely someone who likes to be involved in things, and after
understatement.
After a week, I probably will be bored. But that's also something I want to push myself in thinking. Because a question I have to ask myself often is like, do I love myself unconditionally? So that means, do I love myself when I don't make money? Do I love myself when I don't have, when I'm not working towards something? Or do I only love myself when I feel successful?
Well, I know you have very high standards for yourself.
I do.
Yeah, and a little bit of pride.
I have a lot of pride.
I was being generous when I said
I have a lot of pride. And my mom was like, you're not going to be able, not like you're not going to, but like, it's going to be very hard for you to not have a job and to possibly have to move back home. Like, that's something I know would honestly rock me to my core.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to.
Girl, that shit gonna last a week. We should put in a pot. Like, all right, who wants to put a bet on this? I give you 10 days.
I think I could do at least a month. The goal is September through November.
September through November. And then what's happening in November?
Well, December, be working on getting a job, like a full-time job. Like, I don't want a full-time job this fall.
Mm-hmm.
In December, I want to be working hard to, it's not like I want to be doing nothing. I want to be gaining some new skills. I want to be entering into a job market a little bit differently than I feel like I did in undergrad, coming out of undergrad.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to be doing nothing all day. I just won't have a place that I need to report for 6 to 8 hours. I don't have an essay due or a research paper due. Like, I will be spending my time doing what I want to spend my time doing and figuring out what I want to do.
Well, what were some things that you think you want to, like, pick up?
Digital marketing.
Interesting.
Virtual assisting. I can make some money.
I mean, you said, like, skills. Like, you said you wanted to...
Yeah, well, digital marketing, so email marketing, like, a lot of these skills are things that virtual assistants do, to assist other people with their businesses. Mm-hmm. And that's something that actually looks really fun to me, something I want to try. The girlies on TikTok make it look real nice and real fun, too. And you can do it from anywhere. Mm-hmm. I think I just want to be able to do something where I can do it from anywhere. And once I log off or whatever I have to do, I feel like my current job, I can't really log off because I have to prepare to go. and then while I'm there, I have to do things all day. And then when I leave, I have to do things to prepare for the next day and take like aftercare, like all these other things. And I just want I work from this time to this time, and then the rest of the time is my time to do whatever I want. And if that is work more, then okay. But if it's not, I don't have to. I don't feel a need to.
Would you be willing to take like a pay cut?
Yeah, I would.
Damn. Yeah, period.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think I'm starting to craft a different definition of what's really important to me.
Because, you know, you preach a lot about if you're not salary, you ain't for me.
Oh, yeah, I know. That still stands.
So you potentially won't be salary for a few months.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is woman logic. Woman logic.
I
Just kidding.
think it's funny how a few months ago when we discovered on the podcast that I was very prideful, I said something to that same effect. Like, women, how are you out here expecting all these things from men and you, like, are for almost things? And
well,
said,
the difference is you're looking down on women from, like, this is something I wouldn't do because I have pride.
So what is I don't see it like that. I see it as like you don't have what you're asking for from somebody else.
Yeah, but
so
like what I interpreted you were saying is like you can't do it for yourself. I don't see how you could be comfortable asking somebody else to do it. And I'm like, there are people who are.
I guess, well, for me, it's not looking down on someone because people live their lives differently. For me, I know I wouldn't be able to do that. But who's really down bad?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I'm like, you realize.
But for me, like the salary comment for me is more of a mindset type of thing. Like it's more
because if you say you also want like business owners and stuff like that, they are not necessarily salary.
Yeah, but I also say degree or business owner. Like I feel like there's caveats. I feel like it's not as black and white as you are making it seem.
Okay.
And
well,
okay.
I'm sorry.
And when
I thought it was more black and white.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And when I say salary, I'm speaking from the position of someone like who has a salary.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I was just asking if since you're willing to forego the salaried position, would you be more lenient in a mate because of that?
I think I would be more lenient and possibly the amount, but not the type of work. And for me, it's not a looking down type of thing. I just feel like I know I wouldn't be comfortable. I feel like I would end up resenting a man who needed me to pay for things.
Yes. But
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think with a certain job, that is just your reality. Uh-huh. Like if someone makes usually hourly jobs, you know, outside of like the nurses, like outside of like some of these positions that come with benefits. Like
so is that it? Is that you just if a nigga's hourly
job.
So if a nigga's hourly but they have benefits, that's fine.
Yeah, a career. I guess what I really should have said, salary not hourly just sounds good. But what I really should have said is a career job, not a job.
Yeah, I feel you. I get it. I guess that's the semantics and all that stuff. No, I get it. But the comment I was saying with the pride thing is I think a lot of times, myself included, I wouldn't do it. And so you're like, I can't imagine, but like, you don't know until you ask.
No, I feel that.
Niggas,
I think I've been getting a lot more comfortable asking for things.
And you be surprised, like you get it.
I'll be honest, I've been down bad a few times in the fall, and I'd asked, a man for money to get to work. Mm-hmm. And he did it. Yeah. And I was like, well, I should do this more often. And
I think that's the thing that there is, but that also to me falls under like, it's not sexism, but like, I'm going to make up a term, pick-me-isms. And this side of like there's a standard of woman that you want to be, and it's like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that.
My pride isn't so much in asking men for things.
No,
my pride is more of in needing a man for like completely relying. But that's also because I feel like I've had issues in the past where I couldn't rely on men, so that just feeds into itself of I don't want to be in a position to where I have to.
No, it makes sense, and I get it. And I felt that same thing where it's like, I would probably rather die. Like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I would do it.
But lately,
I would sell some shit first.
But But lately, the thing that's been making me the most attracted to men is men who do things for me. Men who offer to do things for me.
It
Or
is
men
attractive.
just-
Well, is an acts of service higher on your level?
No, it's the lowest.
Oh, that's high for me. Like
It is
that's some shit that like
absolutely
makes me feel really nice.
The lowest. But I haven't taken that quiz in like a year. So
I think you probably
it's
should redo
getting
it.
higher. But just the
Or the
act
thing
of,
that you said we would do, you know,
Just
as
let it go.
because it's supposed to be an insight within dating, and like I feel like it'd be beneficial for us, especially at this point now that we're a little older. A really like an in depth.
We send it again.
All right, but
But that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing, transitioning and figuring out what it's going to look like for me. How about you?
I guess it's been a minute. So, y'all, I've been at this job, and it's draining, and I'm been really trying to figure out, because how do I want to say this? Like, it's a lot. And like there's parts of it that I feel like I do and I can do well. And I'm like, all right, is it being in education? That's the issue. Is it being in special education? That's the issue. Is it these special education kids in this particular situation?
This is a
that
weird
they
time
is.
to be in education.
And I'm looking at it like that. But I'm gonna be honest, I've had other experience with me working in education, and it's come relatively easy to me, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job. So I feel like this isn't off the mark of something that I can do and do well. But it's just like this shit ain't clicking. Like I'm just it's a lot. And I'm like looking at people who've been there a long time, and it's like, how the fuck are you able to sustain this? Like I don't know how people could work this particular place and go home to family and kids. I could barely go home to a dog.
I would definitely be neglecting my kids, like if I had them. But I also think circumstances.
Well, and you know, parenthood, it makes you stretch, I guess. But I just think that this particular thing just, like, it isn't sustainable. Like, I just have so many issues. Because, like, education in of itself at this point within schools, it is not for the benefit of children. It's just babysitting. Yeah. And it's just, like, hard. And then I've also been in this weird space within this particular group of kids. And, like, how do I say this? White people, like, talking to me about, like, black kids with issues. It's some part of, like, this white savior complex just...
I didn't know you work with that many white people.
Cheese grater. It's not a lot, but yesterday we had a PD day, and we were broken off into small groups. And this one lady was like, well, you know, they have so much going on.
But what can they say? Because if they say the opposite, you'd be like, you don't like black kids, you shouldn't work here.
Well, no.
Honestly, like if they say some of the things that black people in education say about black kids, you will be ready to be like, this person needs to be fired. They can't work around these kids.
And that is true. That is true. I'll give you that. But I'm like, these kids suck. We could just say that. Like, I don't, like, we don't have to, like.
I get it doesn't have to be a race thing, but I don't want to hear white educators talking about black kids.
And you know what? You raised a good point.
Why are you here? Like, in general, for me, whenever I see white people working at, like, HBCUs or predominantly black schools in, like, really rough areas, in my mind, to be honest, I've always questioned, like, why do you do this?
It is like, that's what I'm like, this white savior
you don't have to.
complex thing, and it bothers me, but that's the thing, like where's that line? And it's like, you know, I don't know, because I think when you go far up within this particular, you know, school company, and even just public schools, and even in the really worst areas, it gets
white. It gets very white.
And then it's like within the trenches, is not reflective of the leadership. And I'm like, a part of me feels like that's a bigger part of the disconnect within this, you know, education system of itself. Like, the people who are, like, doing the day-to-day grunt work, and the people who make all the money and that don't do as much, there's a disconnect with them and even the people who they're being served. Definitely. But, like, it's a lot. And I don't know.
I think education is just draining in general. And
it
doesn't fill you back in. Because being a lawyer is draining. Being a doctor is draining. But you get paid. Like, you get something a little bit sweeter on the other end. Jobs that drain you, and then there's no sweetness on the back end.
Yeah, because this last paycheck, I was like, yeah, this shit not going to work. Yeah. And granted, it was, like, holiday pay. And then that's another thing, too. It's just...
it's made for quick turnover rates. They have to cancel education programs in some colleges this year because people don't want to go into it because they're just seeing like it's rough. And
It is.
Gen Z is not doing anything.
It's
rough.
not even Gen Z, it's millennial too. I think that there is a definite cultural shift between, you know, baby boomers and what's the silent generation. Was definitely more of a like,
Just
I'm going to work through and then I'll eventually get to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you'll see it through. And I think that millennials for sure and Gen Z's is like, girl, that's
No.
fucking dead. I could
No.
make money on my phone.
Literally.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I think that that's real. And so that's where I'm at. And I'm also just been really in like I don't know how to describe it, like existential crisis of like everything else. Like it just feels weird. I feel off, unauthentic. And I don't know if it's just the new year, if it's the burnout. You know, like I said, I've worked in aquatics that has been paused because of coronavirus. And so like that I felt like was essentially that's something now missing within my day-to-day life. And I feel like it just has me in a very weird space where I feel like now where I'm at this job that is very draining, and I feel like it's kind of becoming all encumbersome because I don't have the outlets that I've had, you know, other people.
The sweet spots. Yeah.
Or just like I wasn't just here. Like it's been very much go to work, go home and take a nap because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And like there's just, you know, I definitely want to get more into things, but like fuck, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that 40-hour a week thing, like this shit don't work. When we gonna change this?
Abolish the 5. It's so unnecessary.
Especially
5
for
days
school,
is so
and then these
unnecessary.
particular, I mean, with it just it don't work. And then, you know, relationships and stuff. I've really been not in it on it. I haven't been on social media since Christmas, and it's now the end of January. I feel like this is the longest stint where I've done like nothing, like no Twitter, like nothing. I have seen some like YouTube shorts, which are basically like TikToks.
Yeah.
But you know, I really just haven't been. I missed a lot.
What was your last dating round like? Or are you on the app right now? Or are you
I'm not on the app right now. I think I downloaded it earlier in the holidays after coming out of like quarantine. I was like, you know what? I need to talk to people. Like I am tired of being sick and alone and in bed. But nothing really came from it, which is kind of like to be expected. Like maybe I text 1 or 2 people every 7 days, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would like to date. And I feel like when I was trying to explain to people what I wanted, it felt like it was getting lost in translations. Like, I'm not trying to have sex. Like, so if you want to fuck, this not gonna work. Nah. I wasn't even on
That's something that
that.
I feel like we have both complained about.
I'm not really like, nah, I wasn't even thinking. Like, nope. And so then I'm like, look, but I do want to go out and date. So I'm trying to get to know somebody, but I don't want sex to be the basis, the beginning, the thing. So like, I'm not trying to do that. And so like, if that's an issue, we don't have to talk. Like, there's no blood. We I don't know you like that. Like, there's no like me leading you on. We haven't gone anywhere. Yeah. But I do feel like a lot of times what I've been trying to do is ask a man what he wants first so I could get his authentic answer. Because a lot of times they'll ask you and then you'll respond and they craft their response to
match yours.
And it's like, that's not really what you want.
Right. So
but it's still, they all say the same fluffy bullshit.
Yeah. I think
and
I
it's like,
stop listening to what niggas say and just look at their actions. Yeah, you're not about sex, right? But why is the first thing you ask me to do come over? That's that literally is the dead giveaway, because why am I coming over if we're not smashing? That doesn't make sense.
I just feel like, can y'all just start with lies and like then get to the truth? Like, can you just start off with, I just want to fuck, and then like if I don't, just like keep it pushing. But like there's this obligation that men have with like, if they tell you the actual truth, that you have to go along with the truth that they're saying. Like, I was honest, I just want to fuck. Okay, we don't have, like, that doesn't mean that we fuck. But like,
that means now I know your true intentions, and I can't get mad
if I do that, you know. But like, I
feel like honestly, being honest up front saves you from so much. But accountability. I don't always tell niggas what I want, to be honest. And I realized that, and that's what I was on the dating apps. I feel like in early December, and I feel like during that time I was just really horny. But something about me, something in my code of mind of the type of woman I am, I can't just say that. Like, I can't just say that to a random man. Like, I can say that to someone who I fucked before and be like, you know, are you coming over or not? Like, are we doing this or not? But being on an app, actually telling a man, like, hey, this is all I want. I feel like I disguise it as a date, or, like, we're dating, and then I opt to, like, hey, do you want to come over? I feel like I'm more on that. So I have been understanding a little bit more in, like,
well,
why
I guess
people sugarcoat, because people lie because they want a certain outcome, and they feel like if they tell the truth, they're not going to get that outcome.
I mean, yes. That is
why
true.
People lie, or that is why people sugarcoat or omit or whatever. I just don't like being told, like, you don't have to sell hoop dreams. Like, it's one thing to give that answer and then that just be it. Okay, whatever. But it's another thing where, like, someone's actions clearly state that you're the opposite, but you keep saying no, but we
gaslighting.
Can do this. Seriously,
it's what it is.
Like that
These
is
niggas
so
be
annoying,
gaslighting,
and it makes you look so unattractive. Like, niggas, stop doing that. If it's very clear, if your actions are very clear that that's all you want to do, just make your words match. It's very simple. Even if it's not the gate, like, at a certain point. But I also said this when we were on our way over here. I also think that women play themselves a lot more than men play women. Like,
I agree. Well, I think that what happens is that, I don't want to say this. Men are coddled and get away with a lot. And so in order for you to receive a man, you have to essentially, like, kind of subscribe to, like, doing that. And then there's just, it's like a big ball, like patriarchal system is like a big thing that has a lot of different layers that involve, you know, including, like, sexism and stuff like that. So yes, I do think that women are a lot more culpable than, you know, they let on, because there's been times, and I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm trying to grow and be more mature, and I still haven't passed it, because there's one person I was like, yeah, I said we're gonna meet, but I just blocked you. Like, that was wrong. But prior to that, I was like, you know what, like, that is wrong of me to, like, I need to work on my communication. I can admit that. It's like, all right, let's try again. And I was like, it's just not gonna work. So I understand that I am still a work in progress.
Everyone is a work in progress.
And so I'm trying to be upfront and honest and, like, more, you know, genuine as I move forward. Because at this point, I wouldn't mind dating. But like I said, I'm not trying to, like, have sex. It's just, I'm good. Like, I'm really good. But, you know, it doesn't seem like it equates. I don't know. But I'm also, like, I'm not really around a whole bunch of people because this job is so fucking draining.
Yeah, I think that's also what I learned during my last, like, round of dating. Even the men who I was interested in actually dating, I was like, I don't think I have the energy to give you the type of, you know, energy that I want to give somebody I'm interested in, because I'm drained. Like, I'm coming home at 6 o'clock. I'm knocked out until, like, 11. We're not talking. You probably think I'm just bad at communication. And I could be, but I'm really just, I cannot do it. I cannot get up. Like, it's taking more. It's taking
and
more
so
to carry on.
And I'm trying to, like, force myself to not let this job drown me or, like, you know, completely deplete me. Because I feel like, I'm like, yeah, it is in my patient reserves just digging. Like, I just don't know what is left and stuff like that. And I'm just, you know, even at this point, I feel like that's most of what I talk. Like, I'm just tired of all of it. I literally had to call my sister one day, and I'm like, tell me some shit. Like, give me somebody else's story. What's tea, like, on some other shit? You know, like, spill some, like, I just don't want to think or hear about children.
But that's where we're at.
I was like a long roundabout way of saying, ain't shit really changed.
But okay, well, what are you looking forward to in dating this year? Like, what would be, like,
I don't know,
something that you want? And I feel like I would probably right now answer that as I don't know too, and that's how I know I don't need to date. Like,
that's why
I'll be ready to date when I clearly know, and I feel like I have a better dating round.
Well, I feel like at this point,
clearly know. I
do want to intentionally date. Like, I want to date with a purpose. I'm at that point, but
with what is the purpose?
Being in a committed relationship.
Okay.
But I'm not saying that I want to jump into exclusive dating. Like, I would like to get to know, like, slowly get there, but, like, date with intention. Like, I'm not just trying to eat just to go out and eat. really try to vibe, get to know somebody. But I also, have a serious fear of commitment and a lot of, work that I need to do on my end within relationships due to, growing up trauma, relationship issues, help triggered, and I think that that's also been really hard to communicate. Like, I was tempted to say, like, we should have this episode talk about, like, triggers and stuff like that. Because what I've experienced when you're trying to get to know somebody and, like, explain, like, yeah, I've had some bad experiences. I don't know if you, like, they want you to, like, break it down.
Expound. I think that's human nature, though.
Scene by scene.
But when someone tells me something like, oh, yeah, very general, this happened, I feel like that's human nature to ask further questions. But I honestly, this year, I kind of want someone to earn that. Like, why? Like,
no, I agree.
And this is speaking as someone who likes to know everyone's entire backstory.
Yeah, she definitely knows know the tea.
I want to, but I'm not going around, like, sharing, what the last nigga did and what he did.
No, but I feel like how do I want to describe this? When they're asking you to break it down, to me, it's kind of like they use it against you. Like, okay, you've had trauma before, so, like, you are potentially you can be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like I've had, I don't know, when I've kind of broken it down, right? I don't want to say victim blaming, but, like, some people have, like, well, you really can't. That's not fair. You can't do that. And da-da-da-da-da. And I don't know. I just, there's also a part of, like, reliving that is really traumatic and, like, kind of subjugating to you. Because, like I said, I guess, I put a trigger warning in the beginning. An essay victim. And even admitting that has happened is a trigger. And I feel like I try to explain to people, like, this is why I'm not comfortable with certain things. But you always get but I'm different.
Red flag.
It is, but it's kind of like, that is, like, my biggest gripe within trying to be a lot more honest and intentional and work on communication. Like, there's just... I
don't think you necessarily need to tell someone everything.
Well, I'm not saying I do that with everybody, but just... But
in general, I think when you tell someone a boundary, you don't have to explain the boundary. Especially in dating, especially for someone like, we went on one date. Who the fuck? Like, I don't need to tell you why I would rather you do this than do that.
But in theory, yes. But, like, you met men and you try to, like, say, I don't really do this. Why not? Like, I'm a good guy. I'm different. Da-da-da-da. The last person was like that. But and I just feel like they don't understand the trauma that... No,
men really don't understand the trauma.
And then just understanding... Yeah, the whole, like, that's not me thing is just like, do you feel like the person that was like that said I'm like that in the beginning? I'm like... No. But all right, let's get into the meat and potatoes as we approach 30 minutes.
Oh damn! Let's get the shit that comes through our phones. Speaking of dating apps, on the last round I was on Hinge. So after the whole Bumble, you heard about that story, right? The black girl who went to the white man's house and she ended up dying, or he came to her house and she ended up dying off Bumble.
I think I heard of something.
Yeah.
Well, something like that.
I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little break from Bumble. So I decided to try back Hinge. And honestly, when it comes to guys within my age range, because I did lower my age range. I lowered it from, 30-somethings to when I'm 25, I lowered it to about 29. So from 25 to 29, because I realized, honestly...
Do you go out with these older men?
Yeah, I have, but you can tell it's not going anywhere. And it's not going anywhere. It's like, you don't really take me seriously. I don't really take you seriously. So there's really no point. And the men that I've actually connected with, like, the most that I could say, like, I really like, were within the sweet spot range. There's a reason it's called the sweet spot.
Well, that is your term for sure.
Sweet spot niggas.
I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like old niggas are weird. I was talking to my sister about that. And, like, we were listing the types of niggas that are weird. Old men, titty men.
What?
Yes.
You think so?
Like, ass men are more rational people. Niggas who only like titties, they just, something about them's off. I can't explain it. But, okay. Yeah. Titty men are weird.
But
and I stand by that.
My dating range.
And I agree. I've tried to, like, date with, like, try to be a little more experimental. We talked about attempting to do that. because a good friend of mine, I think I mentioned her, but I forgot what I called her. She's been like, she took a break from black men.
International Bay? I think we called her that.
Yes. So she was dating white men.
This is, okay, International Bay, for, our loyal listeners, is from episode 6, College Days. The girl who was TTG.
Yeah,
Carson.
that's my homie. That's
She's
my
like,
homie.
You just want to do what? Oh, let's go.
Yeah, that nigga really, like, I be forgetting that. You know, like,
I forget a lot of things that happen in
and that's a
undergrad.
trauma response.
I forget a lot of things.
That is a
happen in
trauma
undergrad where I'm
response.
like,
And
whoa.
that was one thing I did say I wanted to do a much better job of this year. Is just documenting everything.
Yeah.
So that I have not done it well, but it's the first 1 out of 12. I got it. I have a chance to redeem myself and get a good grade at the end of the year. But yeah, that's a definitely trauma response because I be forgetting that. Like that nigga really pulled up to the dorm with 2 bitches trying to fight me because I didn't go back.
Nigga logic.
Because I didn't go back and forth with him on Twitter. Ain't that some shit? But yeah, so she was essentially saying like, she's been dating white men.
Did she say why? Like what led to that decision?
Because black men weren't it, I guess, for her. Well, she's outside of like a major city in the Midwest. So I guess she was having struggles. And, dating is hard.
Yeah.
And so she was trying white men because, it should look good on TikTok.
It does. And I was wondering, like, dating is hard in the DMV area, and there's a bunch of black men. Imagine being in an area where it's not.
I mean, where she is like she's outside of a city with a lot of black people, but the black people in the city aren't in like a great part. So it is dodgy.
Just say them niggas ain't got jobs.
Well, and I can't say that for everybody, but dating I think is hard. But essentially, she come to the conclusion that it's not just niggas. All men ain't shit, and she had some real issues. But before she was saying, she's like, hey, I think a lot of times, I don't feel like you match with a lot of white people, but like you don't swipe on a lot of white people. I know I don't. It's like left.
Yeah.
A black person, scroll down. Let me look at this. Left.
But
White,
I think
scroll,
that's
left.
We talked about this before. We talked about it last year when we guest starred on the other podcast. Black women have an intrinsic loyalty to black men. Mm-hmm. That is our first choice. It's always our first choice. We can be dogs. We can be shit. Like it. All these.
It takes a while for us to change.
Even think about it. Even if you grew up in a predominantly white area, like to even think about it, black women go through some questioning of themselves.
So I understand that, and so she was saying that, hey, like you'd be surprised if you open yourself up, and I was like, you know what? If I re-download it, I might try. But I also feel like as somebody who is like a mid complexion, brown, when I look at people who white men
don't like us.
Like they kind of go for a very chocolate woman
Or light.
or a very cream,
They don't know what to do with us.
And so like there's some people like Kayla Nicole is medium brown skin and she's with the white guy, but like that's kind of it that I know about. And even then, there's other factors that, benefit her. But so I don't know, but I also can be honest. I said I really haven't tried, and I'm like maybe I'll try an older man again. But it's just something about that.
I feel
predatory.
I feel like they really sexualize me a little bit too much
Yes.
for my liking, and you can tell.
And it's not like niggas our age don't do that, but
right,
like.
But you would not say this if I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
You would not be wanting all these pictures from me if I was 35, or like you.
I don't know. Do you think that that's just like a generational difference? Like maybe they just take more pictures. Like the older millennials, are they more like?
Not those type of pictures.
Because, well, fair. But like, older coworkers, they take a lot of selfies.
Well,
and maybe I'm
just technology just say that. Like I understand that, but what I'm saying is I just feel like there are certain things that men who are older than me say to me because I'm younger.
No, I completely
with the
agree.
Assumption that I'd be okay with it because I don't know any better.
And that's another thing. Like I feel like my experience with older men, when you're like intelligent as well as being attractive to them.
It's like you exist. You can be young and have opinions and still be
eloquent and like explain yourself. It's a phenomenon.
It is. But okay, so.
But also, I don't think.
What was going on? Did you finish with International Bay? Like, what was you said? She was having some rough experiences. What was
I don't want to put her business out there, but I don't think she listens. She's still my friend though. Generally, she think somebody caught something. One nigga was racist to her. Somebody stood her up. Basically, was like, yeah, I agree. essentially kind of what we were saying. Like we had said like we both want the same thing. He went home and thought about it. It's like, yeah, I just want to fuck. And she's a pretty, sensitive soul too. You might think she's a little more harder on the exterior, but like, she's a teddy bear on the inside. So like, that definitely affected her. That person kind of like what she felt like was playing in her face. And of course, that person essentially messaging her, adding her on Snapchat, and then being racist.
That's just weird behavior.
I was just like, don't you got a job? But I also think he was younger. But like that also was another thing, because old niggas are weird. Young niggas still ain't it. And then men our age, it's a hit or miss.
I don't know. I've never tried talking to a younger nigga, but I think that has more to do with the fact that my younger brother is 2 years younger than me. So I can't imagine going on a date with one of his counterparts.
And I feel that. I have younger siblings as well.
That would just be so weird to me. But so the last time I was on Hinge was like early December, and I matched with this guy, and he lived near me, like maybe like a few blocks away. So I was like, that was good. Okay,
Oh.
we getting some check boxes, full-time job, we getting some more check boxes.
Proximity.
Attractive, like some check boxes. He had a personality, which is like a really big thing for me these days, a personality. I can draw a conversation out of someone, but it's really cool to be having a conversation with someone, and it is a back and forth, and they ask you just about as many questions as you ask them. It feels two-sided.
No, I feel you, because I feel like my experience with dates, like, I feel like I'm a good first date, but I must not be. But, like, I don't know. The niggas just don't know how to have a conversation. And maybe I don't.
Men say the same thing.
But, like, is it me?
No, I don't know. I think people have different definitions of what a good conversation is.
Because to
like,
me,
when you're in a great one, but like a good one, kind of like, I guess people have different definitions because men say the same thing. Women don't know how to have conversations. So then who's the issue?
the only niggas like to talk to is other niggas. But like that's a different topic.
No, I think men feel like they have to shape, form, transform into something different when they're talking to women, and that gets exhausting. I think that's really what it is.
We call this in therapy a breakthrough.
You gotta shape shift so much. You're trying so hard to be with that woman once. You're not being yourself. How many times can you engage in a conversation with someone when you're not being yourself? That gets exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of men end up ghosting women as well. Like, you put in all this work to make sure that she liked you. You didn't even realize if you liked her or not. Or you just got tired of having to keep up an act of who you're not. If you did all of this upfront work in the beginning, all this energy, you knew that wasn't who you were. Of course you're exhausted. You have to ghost. You can't maintain it. That's for the last thing I was talking to. But no, so this guy, he was cool. But something I noticed, ladies, pay attention. His profile I live in Baltimore, and that's where he lived close to. His profile kept going back from Baltimore to PG County, which is where I'm from, right? And I had noticed it, and it was subtle. And I was like, okay.
You be paying attention to that shit. I really
do. I noticed, but it happened twice. So I'm like, okay, well, I change my location all the time because sometimes, Baltimore, man, let's get this together, bro. Because sometimes I literally have to move
and then you gotta
Baltimore to DC on my Hinge profile to get, like, quality.
Yeah, and then you got to prove even, certain areas. Something in the water where it makes part of the PG County people a lot taller than the other part. And so I get it. You got to play some gymnastics.
So I jump around a little bit. Quite a little bit. So I noticed it. And at first I noticed it. I was going to make a joke. So I'm like, I do that too sometimes. And then he started to look very familiar. And he started to look familiar because a mutual friend that me and Carson both share, someone we know him from high school, Esteban, from our RIP House Parties episode, it ended up being her ex. And how I started to think that we're not going to put a lot of her business out there with him.
We just want to talk about like what we know about that particular ex, right? So we had a friend, and this was kind of like one of her first more like adult relationships. And at that point I feel like we were cool, but I can be honest, we didn't talk as much, so I knew like some general stuff about him. And I remember we had went out, and she was saying like there was some inconsistencies in his story, like he had a car seat. He was saying that he was watching like it was his friend's baby, and then it was a crackhead's baby. And so when she said, I think this is Esteban's ex, and I'm like, not the one who had the crack, because it turned out to be his baby.
Of course it was.
Yeah, but like,
Of course it was. But
but then Chanel had more information that it was just like, what the fuck is wrong with this nigga? Because at first we couldn't tell, because the profession that you said this person you were talking to didn't match the profession of the other person.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, the only way to really find out, because I'm a bitch that like, we just got to ask. So we were like, hey, how you doing?
I sent her a screenshot of what he looked like. She was like, yep, that's him. And to my surprise, I have been talking to him for like maybe a week or two around. This is more of like going into Christmas time. To my surprise, she was like, I was over there last month and he was trying to fuck, and I was like, no. It's like, oh, so y'all are still, kind of in contact or whatever. Okay.
So moral of the story, niggas ain't shit, and they have babies with crackheads.
So I will say, I had seen him before. There was also what jogged my memory, because he came to pick something up, and that's when I had noticed the car seat in the back, because he rolled up in a car with the car seat, and only niggas with kids do that. So I had seen his face briefly. He had picked something up from her from my place. So that was 2 years ago too.
But like, you are also not saying what he said that he did.
Okay,
that was like a big thing that added to the.
I do want to give him a shout out, because I will say, as soon as I called him back after that 3-way conversation with our friend, I called him back and I was like, we'll go into the shocking news. But I called him back and I was like, yeah, I got to tell you something. So, and when I told him, he was like, oh, damn, which friend did I fuck? And I told him which friend, and he was like, oh, got it, okay. And then we hung up and we haven't talked since. I will say, some niggas probably would have been like on some, okay, like what does that mean? So I give some
well, I mean, because he was probably assumed that she told you that he tried to fuck 4 weeks ago.
He asked me if I had told her already, and I was like, yeah. So probably.
So like,
but that same day, before I came to the realization that was her ex when I was high. So if I did take that edible, shout out to the edible. She was like, sitting here, I was like,
wait a second.
Wait a second.
Hold the fuck up.
Literally. But that day, prior to that day, when I had, it had clicked, he told me that he had did porn for some time.
Porn. And then he wouldn't. Okay. The thing, though, that I was kind of upset about Chanel telling him, because I was like, if somebody told me some shit like that,
wanted to see the video, y'all.
I need to see the link. Where can I find this information?
He said it casually too. He was like, "Oh yeah," because I think we were talking about. He sent me something randomly, and he said, "Yeah, the longest time I've gone without sex is like maybe 8 or 9 months or so." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, I've tried celibacy before. What made you do that?" Because I'm always interested to find out, because it's so countercultural. So I'm always interested to find out, like, why weren't you having sex for an extended period of time? And he said, "Oh, because I used to be a porn star. I just want to see if I could do it." I was like, "What?" He just said it so casually. So I had follow-up questions, and then he went to work. So
then we, of course, that was a thing we had to also follow back with a friend. I'm like, did that nigga do porn?
And she said, yes, that was the story that he told to me. She also said he had a big dick, so he figured, why not do porn?
But like, there was no evidence ever provided.
No.
But that does beg the question: could you date a porn star? No.
Sorry. No. I can't. I don't think that I can do it. And it's not looking down on porn stars. It's just, I don't think that I can do it. I kind of don't want to share that with the rest of the world.
I mean, you really wouldn't be sharing it with the world, just as coworkers.
Shut up. But I'm saying, like, I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to star in the porn. I mean, it's work.
I feel like if I dated a porn star, I would rather star in the porn. I feel like that would make me feel more comfortable.
You would be, so then you would thus become a porn star?
There are porn stars who make, like at-home videos. I'm not saying I would do
POV,
that. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, if I were to date a porn star, that's the only way that's happening.
So are you getting a person? Like, now you're in business with the nigga. You would be in business with the nigga? I don't know if I could trust a man that much with my money. At least I'm not at that point.
I mean, does it have to be,
So you would potentially put yourself out on the internet that is forever.
What I'm saying is,
and a nigga get the money.
No, what I'm saying is, I wouldn't date a porn star. But caveat: if I did,
okay,
I would have to be the one starring in the video.
So so you would have to be a porn star,
essentially. But again, I wouldn't do it. But I'm saying like at the because I don't know. I feel like when black women get into porn, outside of the young black women, I feel like they do it. Sometimes
it's not that good. It's underfunded.
So, like they look mad. Like you could tell they just in there trying to get man his shoes. I don't know. I don't know. The porn industry could definitely do a lot better by Ebony's, especially since Ebony
it was
porn
one
is
of
like
the
highest
searched
so
everywhere.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a caveat if you didn't know that. But yeah.
Yep.
And I also just don't like the way the porn industry really, black men do it too, but the porn industry really perpetuates this big black cock dick.
Oh, and then it's also very predatory because the porn stars themselves also don't make a lot of money. So as I'm going to segue into my answer, right, I have a lot of caveats like you do, but like there's difference because, as somebody who's just,
Do you date a porn star?
The thing is, right?
Are there levels to porn? Because you did OnlyFans.
Yeah, there's levels, and I'm going to get into... So, when men do porn, right, the money for men in porn is in gay porn. Ooh. Like, straight, like unless you are a big name, like a top name male porn star, you don't make that much money. The women make the most money in, like, regular straight porn. So in order for a man to be making, like, a substantial amount of money, he would need to do gay porn. And gay porn and straight porn have different, like, regulations. Like, sex porn, gay porn and straight porn. And within straight porn, you get tested on, like, a regular basis. There's, like, this, a little more structure. Like, it's still predatory, like, just the nature of porn itself. But gay porn doesn't have those same regulations. And so a lot of people, I found this out, because I've seen interviews with porn stars and they say a lot of women have caught things because men kind of dibble and dabble, go back between gay and straight porn.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, they don't have the same regulations.
That's really interesting.
So, could I date a porn star? I'm not going to say no. The issue I would have is like, I can't date a broke porn star. And so,
imagine being a broke porn star.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Just work at Chick-fil-A for all of that. And keep your clothes on.
So, I feel like I could potentially date a sex worker.
That's really interesting. So
but
women catching things.
But then that's also, like black women that happens. It also translates just to regular life. Like we are like the highest.
I was considering getting on prep because the amount of men, the amount of gay men on the TikTok that be talking about y'all boyfriends and how y'all boyfriends got them twisted up somewhere and they're in their phone under, Pizza Uber or someone on the download is scary.
No, it is. But the thing is with that, what I feel like can help one is better sexual education. And then there's a lot of stigma too within just like that. Obviously this episode is going to be about sex. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about sex. All right. So I feel like because people feel like they have to be on the down low, like a lot of things, happen. Like you're not as open. Like, okay, if I'm not going to put on, a condom because then that makes this real. Like I'm having sex with a man. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then as well as, you just can't be as honest without fear of violence, stigma, all that stuff. And that is a big part. And then also we have a lack of just sexual education and understanding of sex as a whole. Because a lot of women's vagina issues come from niggas. And so like
throwing off pH balance and shit.
And that's why, you really got to protect yourself. Yeah. So, but back to the porn star thing. I think I could do it. But like I haven't run across a porn star. The thing though is like there is also a thing of too much penis. As a pillow princess, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like climb like
a ladder.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want my
trash bag, Tom. Keep it over there.
Yeah, I was like, I still want my my plumbing to be fine. Like I don't need nobody hitting a cervix. Like some shit. Like when you're young, it sounds fun, but like that just sounds painful. Like I just want you to know what you're doing. And then they're also the way that porn stars have sex isn't like
it's not intimate. Usually.
Or like pleasing for the woman.
No.
Because like these niggas have been watching porn since they were little and they try to emulate and that don't work. So I'm assuming people that do it, like you would hope that they would understand. And then also, I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know, because I don't know if I could date a gay porn star.
Okay, well, what about OnlyFans? Like
OnlyFans?
Like a nigga who literally, like, he just touches himself on camera.
All right, bro. I don't.
Is
maybe.
that,
Yeah, I think.
not touching anyone else. There's
I
no
think
one
I could
else
do
in the
that. I
scenes
guess
with
my
him.
only thing, and this might be because I have old ass parents, the instability, I guess, that is with like a social media, like a job like that.
Yeah.
Like in 5 years, what does it look like? And so like that would be my concern.
Okay.
With dating someone, but like I'm not mad at it. Like
I'm gonna put it to you this way: it's Thanksgiving. You've been dating this man. OnlyFans is his job. What you telling your family he does?
social media.
But what, like, so you wouldn't say? Because I saw this. I don't know if you've watched Harlem with Megan Good. One of them was, well, it's pretty good. I recommend it. But one of her friends was dating a stripper, and when she was very much Ivy League, rich parents, rich upbringing. When she brought him around her friends, she felt the need to create like a whole new personality for him. Because
Okay,
she was ashamed. You know what I mean?
And I think that there is,
And he wasn't.
well, and I'm happy that he was. I think it's pretty complex. Like I wouldn't have issue with it, but like also as somebody's partner, like if I have like certain people in my house have certain stigmas,
Yeah.
would that?
Would their stigmas affect?
Well, what I'm saying is, would I want you to be putting yourself through that? Like, is me creating this narrative probably an attempt to protect you? Essentially,
Is
but
it really protecting you,
but no,
or is it
and that
protecting how you will be seen in your family.
and that's real too. So that's a good point. Would I be honest with explaining somebody as OnlyFans and they do sex work? If they paying my bills, I think that'd be like shit. Yeah, that's what
It
pays the bills.
works.
Yeah. So I think that it will depend on where we are in a relationship. But if I'm bringing you around my family, obviously.
So,
But at the same time, shit, I probably could do it. The way my family's set up at this point, it's not much that will shock a motherfucker.
looking at it, and we talk about this often, it was looking at that particular episode, it was giving men who talk so much shit about strippers and how you wouldn't date one, but you pay her bills. She met that guy at a strip club.
Well, I think that this is, I think, a good segue into another topic we want to talk about, just like how people treat sex work. And then the difference between men and females within sex work. Like, I think that people don't treat people who do sex work just as a whole correctly.
As a person.
Yeah. And then it's kind of also like how they do customer service. It's so weird how people who, like, you don't have shit going on in your life, but you feel like you have this one little power over somebody. They just exploit it, like, with servers and people within, like, the service industry. And I think that people similarly do that to people who work in sex work because they have what they feel like is moral superiority. Oh, you showing your titties for money? I would never. And it's like, well, yeah, your checkbook also says you never. And, like, you got to be real with that. But I can be honest. Wow.
I started going back to physical therapy, and that's my alarm to do.
Oh, how has that been?
It's been okay. Actually, I went not this morning, but I've been going Monday and Thursdays. But I usually go to the gym at 3:30, but I went this morning at 8. So
Period.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. But as that just distracted me. But back to the sex work. So I do think that people view, sex worker as less than, and I think that, I'm trying to, be a lot more mindful of even the language I speak within that, because I would consider myself, and I would like to consider myself, an ally to sex workers, to LGBTQ plus IA, to the masses, right? But even then, I a lot of times have to check myself within like language and preferences. And I was watching, there's this one girl, a trans woman that I've watched some of her videos on she's a social media person, and I think that she does a really good job eloquating herself in the struggles. And she was kind of talking about how, like there is like a sexual racism, like how people say, I don't date black people because blah blah blah. And a lot of times it's similar in an experience to like trans people. And I'm like, when I check my own bias of like, can I date a trans? Like, is that you dating that person or that type of person? Is that transphobic and all that? I'm making a lot of big branches out here, I know, but like, you kind of get where you're flowing.
I think as a person, you should ask yourself, you should test your own limits and ask
and
yourself
so,
these like hard
but
questions.
and then even if is it anti-sex work to not want to date a sex worker?
I don't think it is.
Right. But like the
But
what
does it
the
look exactly the same as someone who is?
well, no, the
anti-sex?
thing is the reasoning behind it, right? You know, and so is it like, and I think that that you have to unpack that, you know,
Yeah.
within society. But like back to, you know, sex work as itself and men versus women. Because I remember there was this tweet, right, of this man who he said, yeah, OnlyFans got me this new condo. And all of the people in the comments, all the men and stuff, are praising him, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen the tweet with the woman saying the same thing. OnlyFans got me this condo. It's like, well, yeah, what are you going to do in like 4 years when that shit doesn't fall? Or like, remember when they were saying they were going to get rid of like porn on OnlyFans? Like, haha, you're not going to have any more money. And the way that people have turned, and it's so weird because the only way these people make money is because there is a market. You guys consume that. And I forget where it was, but it's like, I feel like people's biggest issue with OnlyFans is the fact that like people are like the sex workers are in control of that. Mm-hmm. Like they don't mind consuming that product on like a Pornhub or an X video. Not even that, but because they like this person a lot of times is kind of being exploited. Like you like noobs that you get from somebody, like not like you like finessing nudes or like essentially them not profiting on it. Like you don't like the fact that they are owning their sexuality and making money from it. Like you like the media, but you don't like that. Yeah, I posted it and what?
Yeah.
Like that's the part that bothers them.
Yeah, I think we were also having a conversation. So with sex work, there's also sex appeal because you need sex appeal to do sex work, I think.
Yes.
And it's interesting
Definitely.
how people are like, oh, I would never. You couldn't.
Period.
And
hey,
didn't think about
man.
that.
Hey,
but
man.
I actually got that from you because I never thought about it like that. Like you couldn't, like sex appeal is not everyone has it, number one.
And then it's like,
and
I
even
think
if you don't have it and you try to cultivate it, it's not an easy way out.
And I think that I said that in response to a lot of people say, like, hey, you know what? This job is hard. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be a stripper. You could never. You don't have the athleticism, the sex appeal, or the, like, how do I say this? Just, like, the attitude.
It's a skill. Like,
and not even, like, in order to be a
is-
stripper, you have to have a certain mentality
Yeah.
that a lot of y'all people don't have. And so, like, there is also, even the same thing with, like, being a sugar baby. Like, you have to give, like, ain't no sugar-free sugar baby. That shit don't exist.
I wish it did.
But it doesn't. But you know what I'm saying? So like there is this romanticization of sex work as like, and it's like it's work. And people don't take it seriously. But yeah, sex appeal.
Sex appeal. So we were at a happy hour with, you know, the future lawyers and the future doctors of America. They were Black men. They were talking about, they said something to the effect of Chloe Bailey. They were comparing Chloe and Halle. And basically they were saying, you know, Halle is better because Chloe's media and her content right now seems a little bit more explicit. And I was just thinking in my head, that's Trey Songz's whole career.
And we're going to put a pin in Trey Songz.
Yeah, we will. But like, what I mean is, men in R&B, they don't sell if they're not sexy.
Hey.
So why is it an issue when women have to be? Well,
And
women
then
like they
own their
choose to be
sexuality.
sexy.
Yeah.
And not everyone has sex appeal. It's not like just not everyone is pretty. Not everyone has sex appeal. It's not an easy thing to have. It's not.
Do
an
you
easy
feel like
thing
you
to do.
have it?
You asked that before. I don't think I have the sex appeal at like a Chloe Bailey level because I also feel like she's someone who is cultivated. I think
she's
live
we're-
more in a girl like the girl next door that if you know get her behind a few closed doors, you know, this guac 3000. I think I'm giving more of that. But if you were to meet me, like if I know, like I can tell older men are more likely to sexualize me fast because you know they're old, you know, they're old men. But men around my age, I can tell most of them would not expect some of the things that I've said or that I've done to come from me. And I think that speaks to the fact that I don't have the extreme outward sex appeal like Chloe or like Megan or like who else?
Well, I was going to say, I think what we're seeing with Chloe and what we've been seeing is her trying to figure it out. And she's received a lot of criticism for trying to, you know, figure it out. And there's different levels to sex appeal. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that you have sex appeal?
I feel like I personally don't think that I have a lot, but I feel like people view me or like they have
I was getting ready to ask, so like, where do you?
But
when you're answering that question, where are you getting it from? Like how you feel about yourself, or
and
how
so that
others
that's what I'm getting ready to say. So because I had a male friend was kind of like, I think that when people look at me, I think they hope that I will fuck. Like, there's this idea, I think I get put in not a friend zone, but like a fuck zone. Like, it's like, would you see me, you just want to have sex. Like, it's nothing else. Like, I can offer you nothing but titties. And so I wouldn't consider myself to have sex appeal, me personally, but I feel like I'm viewed as like a sexual object. Like, but you know, I don't know how else to describe it. You kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like
For someone to only have interest in you because they want to have sex, and it's not like a one-off person or a two-off person, but like the bulk of men that you interact with only see you as that. They don't see anything past that.
And so there's been a few times in which people, you know, I've seen maybe other things, and of course those are not the type that you're like, of course, you know. But even that, I feel like it is kind of, I've looked a lot older than I have been growing up. And I feel like that was also a thing, or like I've been sexualized from a very young age. Like when I was 10, people thought I was 13. When I was 13, people thought I was 16. And moving within that space has been hard too. And so I don't know. I like I said, I wouldn't consider myself sexy, but
okay. So moving into, because we talked a little bit about both of our jobs, and oh wait, no, did you want to finish something?
Yeah, but I don't think I give girl next door. I don't know.
Think you give girl next door.
What do you think I give? Because I could see you giving more of like.
I know I definitely give more of like girl next door, like homegirl. Like I know I definitely.
You don't give homegirl.
Not homegirl. I mean, like I know I give like
the girl you would take your
like,
mom.
Basically, I know I typically give that, but I also think that I'm someone who presents very bougie, and that's typically like, I guess, hand in hand. Like, no, you can't just take her to just go fuck. Like, that's not, like, I wouldn't be okay with that. Like, I think, for the most part, when most men meet me, especially men within my age range, that's not the first thing that they offer me. It's typically, like I said, like, older men who would just assume anyone at a certain age is just DTF all the time.
Yeah, he was also in college days. I forgot what we said. T, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, because we were talking to International Bays, me and T, and it was kind of saying, like, you know, just like we were talking about, like, what we feel like we presented to we're asking a guy, like, our perspective. And he was like, I think guys look at you and, like, hope that you're a hoe, or, like, a hope that you're a freak.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to, side note, I would love to have a guy come on here and talk about
what I kind of want to ask now is, like, what do I give? Because what do you think I give as, like... Say it, you know, it's okay. She's holding back because she knows I'm sensitive.
You are sensitive.
I'm extremely sensitive, but I'm curious.
Well, I told you before from like and you told me that I sound terrible saying this, but from some of like your pictures on Instagram or like pictures on your profile, it is giving a little bit more of like I want to fuck versus I want to go on a date.
Okay.
But you look at those same pictures and you were like, I don't really see that. And from my point of view, from my perspective, typically, especially on something like a dating app, what you post, they don't know anything else about you. Mm-hmm. So if almost every picture, not saying that that's what your profile look like, but if most of your pictures are pictures that show like your titties out, you can't put them away, but you know certain things, you know, are going to look a little bit different than others. And unfortunately, with niggas, they don't know how to dissociate. It's called the Madonna or whore complex. They put women into a whore or the Madonna, the person that.
Well, yeah, you know, and then I feel like as a black woman, you know,
they can't see you as both, and they don't want to see you as both. Like there are niggas who like won't let their wives give them head because they associate that with women who give head are disposable.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that, you know, Misogyny Noir, I know we've kind of talked about like the three tropes that black women have. You know, what is it? The angry one, the mammy, and the Jezebel. I definitely feel like I would fall, I guess, in most people's view as the Jezebel. And I think that it also kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I've kind of always been sexualized. And like even in middle school or something, I remember the first time I had like braids with like extensions, my mother was like, oh my God, you look so grown. And I'm like, no, I look 12. I'm like,
it's weird because we both have moms who like, what's up? My mom's like a B cup. So like she don't understand my issues.
Well,
She
my
don't-
mom
she
had
doesn't
my mom
understand.
has some titties. So she got hers later in life. Like she was like one of those people that like she turned 18, they just popped up, you know, like so like that's very different than having them in middle school and navigating what life is like for you to have curves and boobs and be in that space. And so, you know, I think that is another something that I'm difficult with. Like, should I be punished or like I don't know. I feel like it's me covering up or like changing all that stuff. Is it inauthentic to do that to then be perceived as a good girl if that's something I naturally wouldn't want to do? And is it my response? Like I'm not asking.
It's not your responsibility.
No, but like honestly,
that's a good question to ask because I know I've thought about that sometimes.
it's
too.
like should I police myself in order to get a particular type of person because they don't respect me for how I would present myself naturally?
Yeah. I think I'm starting to look at it a little bit more as like, why do I present naturally in certain things? Because I don't dress to go, when I get dressed to go out, I can say it's not for the attention of men, but at a certain point, you know what looks good. And I'm not going to go out in sweatpants and
that's the thing.
Like,
you wear a lot. You're
I
more.
wear, like, my titties are usually out.
And you are. I feel like you dress a lot more sexy than I do. Like between.
That.
I was like, you're almost always like,
Bra.
or in heels and all that stuff. So like, and yet you are still perceived as the girl next door. Like I think it's.
Well, I know for me, I probably do a little bit more policing when I go out with men. If I'm going out on a first date with men, my titties are not out. Like I make sure.
Yeah, but like you still got like they don't go nowhere.
I know they don't go anywhere.
No, I'm hear what you're saying.
And it's for me, it's more of like I want to see how this interaction is going to go when you don't know everything that you're getting from me. Mm-hmm. I think I've been more in a mindset of like you need to earn my titties being out. When I'm going out with my girls, of course my titties are going to be out. Like we're going out.
Well, no, I agree.
But like when it's specific, like for I'm going out with one particular dude, like I'm spending time with this person. Like no. First date, first few interactions, you don't need to see me in this light, in a sexual light. But also when it comes to men in general, when I think about limiting sexual talk or limiting sexual activity with men you just meet, you're able to think a lot clearer. And I want a man when he's talking to me to be thinking a lot more clearly than, damn, I wonder what it's like to be inside that. Mm-hmm. So I probably do a lot more naturally policing that. I think you are just like, fuck it, like I don't care. Which is a quality that I think you have, and it's not a bad thing.
I mean, I kind of care. So I mean, there's something to be said about that, and I've tried to be a little more intentional with pictures. But like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't take a lot of pictures, and so like when I put things on the dating app, if I gotta follow the policing rule, if you got like you said, you got to keep it within a calendar year. I'm like, well, fuck. I went out for my birthday, but he's like, no, you can't have pictures older than like a year, and I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, all right. If I'm gonna try to like, it makes sense. You look different, but like, I don't take a lot of pictures, and I feel like. But you're right, that's what you get judged on and stuff. And I don't do a lot of like selfies.
We also judge niggas according to how they dress. Like niggas who
and
dress,
their pictures.
What a fuckboy looks like.
Yeah, but
it's a little less like black and white. But there are some dudes who I've looked at and I'm like, I would never date you, but I would fuck you. I would love to meet a man who feels like he's been sexualized to the point where women don't see anything different. I haven't met one because men are raised to believe that any sexual attention is
it's not even sexual. Any attention can be or is inherent. Like it is a difference. But yeah, no. I mean, obviously, you need to have another guy on the podcast. Yeah. For sure, and have this conversation about sex. So,
and we're in a co-working space. Maybe we'll find one on the way out.
Yeah.
So we're going to transition into a few more other topics. I think, are we reaching the hour mark?
We are past the hour mark.
Oh, wow. Okay, well.
And the funny thing is she didn't think that this sex talk would last.
Yeah, whatever. I want to talk about being sexualized at work because this week in particular, I feel like it's been a little weird for me at work. So I work in education, and if y'all didn't know, black men in education are the fucking prize. Like,
Oh
they
my
really
God.
get to walk around just existing,
Basically with their dick out.
existing, flirting with women, like doing with or without a wife, with or without a girl at home. Like, it's just, they just get to walk around at work and just have like fun, and it doesn't matter what they wear. Like, most men I know who come to work at my school wear sweats.
And
Or
that's the
jeans.
thing
They're
that
never dressed up ever.
I ended up hitting Chanel up because, like I said, I started working within the education system too, and I was like, "Is it just this school? Is it all?" Like,
No, it's all schools.
And then you realize when you start working in education, like that shit is probably one of the messiest things, and I feel like I've had that. For me, most of my uncomfortability at work is like the response from the children. I'm in a pretty small setting, and I'm one of probably the younger woman staff, and I'm fucking cute, so like there is a lot of attention that I've gotten, and I feel like I'm looking to these other people like, can y'all say something to the children that you work with? Like, but I guess,
do you not think that they don't say anything because they don't perceive it to be a big deal?
I think that maybe that's a part of it, and I guess that shit makes me uncomfortable. And when I'm uncomfortable, if I don't have anything like I feel like I could say pretty constructive, I don't say anything. And I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, my initial reaction would be not to feed into it. I'm gonna pretend like what, and so like, but can y'all get like it's to the point where it's bad. And then and I feel like the staff does it too.
Yeah.
And like, because I remember when somebody was like, yeah, when you first worked here, an older lady was like, oh Lord, I already know you're probably gonna try this person, and I was like, that shit wasn't gonna work.
Wow.
Like, yeah, they didn't think it was a good idea because I'm fucking cute.
Wow.
The thing, though, that is hilarious about it is the kids that I directly work with told me I look like Squidward. So I think that I'm like, in this situation, I'm like, I'm glad I'm with these children because they don't fuck with me. But no, I agree. And I found that, like, these dirty ass niggas do dirt.
So I found out, when was this? There was, so the behavior people, which is a all male staff at my school, one of them, he's ghetto ass. He's like 50. I think this is like his first real job. But he was locked up. So, it speaks to incarceration.
Hey.
But he made a comment. He said something like, oh, we, some of us have nicknames for the teachers. I mean, for the women in education. And mine was Juicy Fruit. And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? Juicy ass titties. And when I tell you, at first, I did like an uncomfortable laugh, and then it was like, am I okay with that? Like, is that, I don't know. It's lately at work, it's just been feeling like weird. Like the amount of like side chatter that I feel like I have to ignore.
As a woman, I agree.
I found out that like one of the male, he doesn't work there anymore, but one of them, like, he said something to one of the other ones to the effect of, oh yeah, she was really on me like her first year, and I wasn't. Like, and then,
well, the messiest bitch in the room is a fucking man. I had a coworker send me that. She was like,
but he was like, yeah, she was really on me, so now like this is her third year, like I'm more on her. This nigga just had a baby. And he was like, work wife. You said you had never heard of, or you had never experienced that.
Yes.
That. But it made me, I don't know. It just made me a little upset.
I haven't experienced like the work husband, work wife thing.
Yeah.
There's a particular person at this job that was like, yeah, you my work wife. And I was like, we have never had even like cooler talk. Like, I think you may be like, what's up? In the hall. That's another thing. I had some middle schoolers like, give me the what's up. Oh my God. Yeah, I was like, help. I was like,
no.
But no.
And then I found something else was said about me, like to like even a more disrespectful degree, to the point where the girl who told me, she was like, if I tell you this, you cannot press this man out. And I was like, I can't guarantee that, so don't tell me.
She didn't tell you?
No. I didn't want to know.
I feel you on that.
I didn't want to know because I couldn't, because that person still works there. So I was like, I really don't want to know. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, with that particular one, I was a little bored. I was a little messy. So I was texting him. So I can only imagine like some of the things that he would be saying. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, no, I feel you on that. And I feel like for me, with the staff that I'm working with, like these kids, I don't know. I remember niggas in middle school being like hormonal little gremlins, right? But like I just don't remember them being so like
Sexually
outwardly
aggressive.
to the adults in their life. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's with these like this special batch of children,
No.
but like do not tell me what this 13-year-old who's on a third grade reading level thinks of me in my outfit. I don't need to know that. Like
Right.
you could like I'm good. Like that's
What
just
you should be saying to that little boy is that's a grown woman. You need to respect her. That's what that should be the response.
Yes.
But because you don't feel like that's an immediate response, you feel like it's something that has to be shared, like locker room talk.
yeah, I was like I'm good. I really don't need it. And so, but I definitely feel you on the
I
like
showed
you only
a-
imagine.
a few weeks ago, like some really disturbing messages that I got from students,
Yeah,
and it was like, wow, that solidified this my last year. I ain't doing this shit no more.
well, yeah, I yeah.
It was
But you know, I've had some experiences, and I've been in this short amount of time. I haven't been here that long, but no, and that's another thing. There's the staff too. I'm like, don't y'all got? Let's get home. Why are you pressing me out? God,
Shouldn't you be pussied out?
that's what I'm saying.
We're gonna have a married nigga or like niggas with girlfriend episode. I feel like we touched on it in episode 2, but we're gonna have to bring it all the way back because we've been experiencing and hearing some things that are making us sick. But we're gonna transition a
okay.
little bit more to.
Or we obviously have topics in the outline, and my friend is she's like, we're gonna get to it.
Oh, we're gonna get to all of it.
Okay.
Something that we were discussing, we were doing a little back and forth before we started this episode. What is flirting versus what is friendly? Because you can be at a work setting and a man and a woman, can just be platonic friends. And we say this a lot. A lot of men miss out on really good relationships with women because they feel like, oh, she's attractive, she's kind, she has good personality, I should fuck her.
I
So
think that
where's the line?
that men miss men miss out on potentially good relationships because they assume like, hey, she's attractive, she's smart, she's funny, like I should put my dick in her. And so I agree. And I don't know, I guess we were discussing because you felt like I was flirting and I didn't consider that flirting, and I was asking, well, then what is flirting and how do you perceive men flirting with you? Because I'm gonna be honest,
Carson has a habit, and me and Crystal have said this in our earlier episode, of extending conversations that just don't need to be extended. Like going not out of her way, but like just unnecessary. And she's like, well, I'm just being friendly, or like I'm feeling awkward space. And I'm like, just let the space be awkward. I feel like you probably wouldn't be in, and it's not victim blaming, but like situations where you talk to someone longer if you just didn't do the unnecessary back and forth. And sometimes it's initiated. So I'll give you an example. When we came up to this co-working space, she made a joke with one of the guy who just let us up here. And what I said to her is that I think that could be perceived as like small, like mild flirting. Like that's how flirting can start. You make a joke at someone that was just unnecessary. And she's like, well, I think that's just being friendly. And I was like, I just wanted to point out, you wouldn't have said that if it was a woman who let us up.
I feel like I would have, but I
You
understand.
would not have, because someone asked us for directions who came in here and they were 2 women and you didn't do that.
Well, you cut me off. And what was I supposed to say? Did y'all break the elevator? They don't work there. All
But
I
what I'm saying is,
So, okay,
the need to fill in space with like something unnecessary, like something extended, like in a joking, like smiling, like I don't know. And she said that I was tripping. What I want you to understand is that there's a difference, because I've been out with you multiple times where you will go out of your way to say something to a man in like a joking way, and you don't do that with women. You just don't do it. So there's a difference, is what I'm saying.
You know what? And
a friendly thing.
I when you said this earlier, I said I received that.
Oh, you received that.
I said I received that. I did.
Right.
And I guess I'll receive it again. I do feel like, okay, maybe,
And it's
I don't
not
know. But I
criticism. I guess it's something.
Well, how do I would say this in regards to like women are not as nice or maybe just not as
No, and
reciprocal.
you pointed that out to me. You were like, so how do you know when a man is flirting with you? And I was like, usually, men make jokes, or when men, and it does, and flirting doesn't always have to lead to something more. Like, you could flirt with someone and just walk away. Like, it's, or do something a little extra.
Well, I
and
guess,
walk
like,
away.
what
but men aren't perceived to usually be nice. So if a man says something extra that's unnecessary, I would perceive it as flirting because men don't do that.
All right, so I just looked up flirting, right?
Okay.
The definition is behaviors, though attracted to or trying to attract someone, but for amusement rather than a serious intentions.
Oh, so flirting isn't even,
Yeah.
flirting is casual. Okay, well then how do you flirt?
Well, I feel like I've been casual, friendly with women, and it's just...
The next time we go out somewhere, I'm going to point out your interactions with men versus women.
Okay, but I was going to say, the times that I feel like I've been nice and, like, my problem self with women, maybe you might be onto something.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing. I just want you to see.
They try to ask me out.
I just want...
But, yeah, so how do men flirt with you?
I feel like men flirt with me personally by making a joke or making me laugh. That's how I think men flirt with
Okay.
women in general.
Well, how do you flirt with men?
The same way. Like, the time I was in an Uber and I made a joke, I was like, and my flirting usually isn't serious. I'm not trying to usually be, serious taken another way, but if I get in an Uber and I'm not attracted to that man at all and I don't want to practice, sometimes I just flirt with men just to practice flirting. So if I get in an Uber with someone who's clearly too old for me or something, I probably won't, make a joke or anything. But if I get in an Uber with someone who's, possibly attractive or someone, I'm like, okay, let's try this. Let's see what this will work. I may make a joke. Like, I may ask for a charger, if I don't need a charger or not. And if it's an iPhone charger, I'll say, oh, it means that you have good taste because you have an iPhone. Like, that's a joke, but it's a flirting. It lets them know. Really, flirting is just supposed to let someone know how I'm open to more of a conversation, I think.
Okay.
All right, how do you flirt with men?
I don't. I just say pull up with your dick. I really, I feel like.
So when
I
you're on a date, like you don't flirt at all. You don't like.
I mean, I
feel like compliments can be flirting.
Well, I get
can
that.
be, not always, but
I mean, I feel like I guess I give off that energy and stuff. But I like I said, I feel like most of the time on dates I do a lot of talking because like I just don't like, and it might be just a perceived in my head like awkward silence.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason why I got a A or B and AP Lit. We would have book discussions. I just didn't shut up. I just talked the whole time. I was like, well, and in my in the defense of the bad guy.
Therapy moment. What do you think would happen if you just let the silence fester?
I don't know. Something about it just gives me anxiety.
I think you should try it. I want to stop talking so much on dates because I want to know, are we having a good conversation or am I having a good conversation?
All right. Well, I'm going to try. We're going to go out after this. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to let the awkward silence, we have to have practice rounds before I do it, I guess, in front of a live studio audience.
Okay, and when we go out tonight, we're just going out to eat. But when we go out tonight, I'm going to just, if I notice like an interaction, that'll be different. Because you're saying, I would have made that joke. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have. Because I've been out with you multiple times. And it's very rare that you talk to like a random woman outside of, oh, girl, your dress is really cute. And then
is that not flirting? Okay, so I'm not confused. Would that not be considered flirting to a random woman?
Compliment versus like that's not open-ended. Like... There's a difference between a compliment that requires a thank you and keep it moving and a question.
But I feel like there's been several times in which I'd be like, oh, I really like that. Your hair looks really good, blah, blah, blah.
Someone has to say thank you and that's it. But, did you break the elevator? Like,
if he said no, and that was it.
Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. All right.
All right, this obviously is something we're going to come back to. So when we have
to come back
part
to
2 to this.
Yeah.
All right. Not her making that face, but it is. All right, well, actually, it is time for us to wrap it up anyway. So let us.
You know what? One thing I love about this podcast is like we're able to see different things in each other and like say, it's just the observation. It's just something that's noticed. I didn't know I was prideful until you said it.
And then but the thing is, I wasn't the only one. It took her a village. Like, I said it. She was like, no. And then, like, 3 other people were like.
That just don't happen to be multiple people in the room.
No, you just said your mom was talking to you about it.
My mom?
Earlier, the conversation was like, yeah, my mom was like, yeah, I don't think that you could do it. You got a lot of.
Oh, well, yeah. But she was talking about pride in general. You sounded more like pride in general, but, like, emphasis on, like, pride and interactions, like, with men. Like, there are certain things that I'm just not going to ask for.
Well, yes.
So. But what I'm saying is that's something that I never perceived that to be a pride thing. I perceive that to be more of, like, I have standards for myself type of thing, which in itself is just pride. I understand that. What I'm saying is I like, and I listen to our podcast a lot. Like, I listen back a lot. And I like that I'm able to listen and be like, oh, wow, I didn't notice that before. Or, I feel like the podcast makes me a lot more self-aware of things that I didn't know. And I hope that it's the same for you and that you don't perceive it as me criticizing.
Oh, no. I don't know, but I think that when I don't really listen. Like, I put the episodes out, I edit it, I go through.
Edit it.
I just kind of, like, I don't go back. Like, the sound of my voice really just makes me want to throw up.
Really?
And, like, even, like, episodes that I'm, like, very proud of, I still don't really, like, play back and hear.
Right. Well,
but I also am, like, have a different, self-image and, like, the way I perceive myself. Mm-hmm. And, like, that is a big struggle of mine that you just don't struggle with. I think that also plays a role within how we move, operate, and what we think.
I think Chanel, though, is just more of an uncut version of, like, I'm not going to say my actual name, but, of me, of, like, who I am just in general. And that's why I tell, like, my therapist and my life coach often is, like, I would consider Chanel to be someone who does not care nearly about what people think nearly as much as me in regular life. So maybe that's why I don't struggle with the self-image and, like, listening to myself, because I'm listening to myself as that's a certain version of me. Mm-hmm. And that's a certain version, like, Chanel's a certain version of me that gives me a lot of context about how I must sound in general.
Well, I guess
So look at it, it's like, it's two different people.
I don't. And I guess that's like I'm still a hot mess. Like, when I was talking to somebody I hadn't talked to in, like, 2 years, like, what's going on? Like, honestly, only thing that changed the date. I'm still a fucking hot ass mess. I'm still struggling. And I don't. And that's one of the bigger reasons why I really want to get better with, circling back within documenting my life. Because I feel like I just haven't seen, life is up and down, but I just haven't seen forward progress. Mm. And it might be because I'm not having a way to measure that. Like, every day. But, like, I think that essentially we just view ourselves differently. And so then that presents in the way that other people view us, what we consider flirting, like that. Yeah. And so maybe after I get a good dose of of therapy, we could come back and see if things have changed.
I think so. I think
because sorry to cut you off.
I was going to say our next episode is going to be about our feelings about insecure and how
that was supposed to be this episode, but we had started off with the porn star as the topic of what we wanted to talk about, and I felt
that's probably more of a middle conversation.
And she was like, "Yeah, we could." I was like, "This is going to be enough." We have had 8 points that we brought up since then. She didn't see it,
I did not,
and I feel like I'd be right a lot of times, and you don't give me enough credit.
All right, fine. I'll let me give you your flowers now.
Because I was read a few times where I'm like, I know you.
But my point is, I'm hoping that when we get to that episode, and that episode will not take 4 months. I promise y'all, it's not going to take 4 months to get to. When we do get to the episode, hopefully you'll be able to, maybe that's some homework that we both need to do for that episode. Think about, like, try to find something from 5 years ago or find something from, like, some time and just look and be able to analyze, like, who was I back then? I don't have journal entries, like, dating back. I think the earliest one I have was, like, maybe 2017. And being able to read back, it's really helpful because you have grown a lot. You just can't see it because you
I really just don't think that, like, I feel like I've been in the same hamster wheel for the past, like, 4 years. And, like, it is what it is.
Well, we'll deep dive more. But there was something else you were going to say. Do you remember it?
Oh yeah, okay. Kind of going back to dating profiles and like there's certain response that you get. And I remember I was talking to this particular person while I was in college, and I was saying like, yeah, dating sucks is bad. You know, like the people I'm coming in contact to. It's like, well, like what are your standards? What's your type? And I was like, I guess I when I look at it, I don't know if I have any. It's like, and that's the problem. And so, you know, I do think that, you know, about coming back to like women being culpable and stuff like that, that is something I'm trying to work on. You know, standards. Like when I look at my partner, what I look at what I'm expecting for my partner to have like moving forward is I can't be with somebody that only like I'm the only woman you respect in your life, or me and your mom. Like to me that's not good. Like if you can't fuck with women, we can't fuck with each other at all. And I don't know if that is something that I'm like, you know what, that's just not gonna work. Like if you got a baby mama, you probably not gonna like me because I'm probably gonna agree with her. But like I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it with kids.
Nah,
At least not at this point.
We're
Not at this point.
We're not there yet.
Well,
But,
it depends on how much money you make.
We're not there yet. Nah, I can't do it.
It depends.
I can't do it. Period.
Potentially, like their age and their kids' age. There's some factors that may segue.
Win. I feel like you can't win.
I mean, the only way it works is if we're gonna get married, and even then, the only reason I'm looking at it is like, all right, if they already have a kid, I only have to get pregnant once, and my kid has a sibling. Like, it is a very selfish reason.
It's very efficient.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it knocks. That's one
pregnancy PR we said is terrible.
So that's just like me having to do it once if I have to do it.
I feel that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we blocking anybody?
Trey Songz.
Definitely.
You know, we really didn't get into that, but I feel like, and that's another thing that how people have been perceiving him, because he is attractive. Like, he didn't rape nobody, he doesn't have to. And I'm like, you don't understand that it's not necessarily like if whether they're attractive or not. It has to do with power and their like perception of that. And like
people asking, how did R. Kelly get away with it for so long? There you go. This is how we get. This is how
it
get
starts.
Away with it.
There's been several people that make these claims within this person, and you know, it's just it's heartbreaking and it's traumatic. And I feel like some of the issues is, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect victim, and then I'm just going all over the place. But you know, kind of like the Claudia that versus like Rosa Parks, that type of like people respect a certain person saying something. Because I remember the first time I realized Trey Songz wasn't it was the girl Selena Powell, and like granted she doesn't have a great record, but the story she said, I was like, yeah,
that's wild.
And then Keke Palmer said something, and people like nothing. She wasn't assaulted or anything, but like it was an experience, and she was kind of clowned for it. I remember Wendy Williams was like, "Girl, like really did that?" And I remember she ate Wendy up, but like this is how it starts. Like this is a pattern that we're looking at. And
then the more they can get away with it, they feel more invincible.
Yeah,
I'm sure R. Kelly probably you know, until you know the hammer really came down, was like. He even said in one of his lives, y'all should have did this years ago, because now I'm bigger than life. Now I'm this. Now I'm that. You should have been did this. Like, so each year you're getting
and
more.
And then I guess what
powerful.
I need people to realize there's a lot of atrocities that are happening in front of our face, and we have this like guys that we would like, oh, I would just never let that happen. And it's like you
don't know.
I was like, and honestly, when you're in that, like, I don't know. For me, I realized that like I froze. I froze. And I've had more than one experience. And like, you know, like that shit ain't cool. But yeah, obviously you gotta make a clip about a trigger warning. Sorry guys, this got a little deep. But you know,
all right, well, I'm gonna block people who think that sex appeal and sex work is something to
shame.
Is an easy way out.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think
that statement in general to me like really just rubbed me the wrong way.
And you don't even, but that is something you're kind of conditioned to think. And it's not until you really unpack it. It took me, I think somebody saying something similar to me, I'm like, when you really think about it, no, I can't be no fucking stripper. I don't got the upper body strength or the twerking skills. Like there's a lot of things that you just don't have, like the hood, not hood, but like the gump, like the attitude to handle some shit like that. Like it's not easy work. Yeah. And there's this whole idea of sex work not being work and like not being validated. So I agree. Niggas who don't think sex work is work, I really want y'all niggas to be serious and just pay for it. But yeah, I think that you would get more than what you want. I'm a block niggas that craft their answers to what you're saying. So like, what are you
Niggas
looking
that
for?
sell hoop dreams.
Unnecessarily. Just say you want to fuck and be okay with the response that you get from that. Like, it's going to save you time.
I think I was reading a book. It was a pretty okay book. It's called He's Lying Sis. And it was by Stefan Speaks, like, you know, one of those dating relationship coaches, but not one of the toxic ones. He was saying, damn, I probably just lost my thought. He was saying that a long time ago, men realized that women respond to words, like pretty words. And once a nigga realizes that, that's when he starts to lay it on thick. Like, a nigga could be living with his baby mama telling you, oh, if it was, you know, a few years ago, it could have been us. But it's like, at the end of the day, where is he?
Yeah.
So women, stop listening to what men say. They'll say anything. Look at what they actually do. That'll tell you everything.
And then that
you
is
need to
true.
know.
Like, that's the culpability that women have. And we're not, you know, trying to be men bashing. You know,
No,
women.
not at all. I still believe, even with everything I've said, I still believe there are great men in the world. I just think that at a certain point,
You've got to
we
make a
have to
decision.
we have to hold men accountable so that men can be better.
I
And
agree.
It's not our responsibility to make men better, but if men know that what they can get away with, and if they keep getting away with it, like, imagine if
Well, I guess the question is, who is supposed to, like, men being better? Like,
men should want to be better for themselves. I understand that, but like, when men know that I can get
So,
this, that, and the third.
do
that's
you
not a
feel
good
like
man.
racism, who does that? Like, they're not the same thing, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Who should shoulder the change to fix that? Is it the people who is affected by,
No.
or the people who are perpetrating
It
it?
should be the people who are perpetrating, but why keep subjecting yourself to
Can you
like,
turn off?
like why? Like, why?
But I feel like the thing is that, you know, sexism and, you know, like, it's so intertwined within our society and in everything that we speak and do and watch that. And then, like, a lot of times we subscribe to it,
Yes,
even if it's
I'm not
unintentionally. Oh,
I
no.
don't know if I want to completely get rid of the
Girl, when it
because
snowed, I
don't
was
wanna
like,
pay.
I'm a fucking woman with some titties. Why am I shoveling snow?
Yep. Complex. It's very complex.
I was
If
like, I
something
feel like
goes
as a
bump in
woman,
the
I don't
night-
need to cut grass or
If
shovel.
something goes bump in the night, I'm not getting up. Babe, go handle that. You got it, right?
Babe.
And I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, if I saw a video and it was a mouse ran across something and both the man and the woman jumped, and the woman looked at the man with so much disdain, and all the comments were like, oh, it's not equality now, huh? Like, it was all of that. And I was like, well, if I'm at work, even I may have to, you know, not listen to some comments, but I don't want to move the desk around myself. I don't want to do that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to do that.
I was like, a man can grab this.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I'm not trying
But
to yoke up
it's-
somebody's
okay, but
child.
what about the opposite? Make daddy a sandwich would make my skin crawl. Like, to hear men just like,
Well, I guess the thing
that.
is, like, certain thing. I don't know. I
it's
think
the
it's,
way men do it.
and then there's a societal thing. Like, it's very layered, and obviously, I
Yeah.
think that it will take a lot to unpack, and maybe
Yeah.
we get, like I said, we definitely need to get another man. I think that'll be our mission: get another man on here so that we can kind of unpack that with somebody who sees it.
Both
Or
ways.
not even sees it, like, experience it differently.
Yeah,
Like, we're looking
definitely.
from a very particular woman, you know, like we said, and understanding. We were even talking about, like, this shit is all over the place as we're supposed to be ending this episode because we got some place to be. But, like, even understanding pretty privilege and being, like, attractive to people. Like we said, that it's been uncomfortable in the workplace, but, like, what is it like to not be viewed as somebody who is attractive, and how
would
moving
that
in
really
the
be more fun? Because in my experience, women in the workplace who are not used to male attention are the most stank women in the workplace.
to other women
who are attractive.
Yeah,
like,
but
the
'cause,
dirty
you know,
looks,
they-
like,
within
look at
the-
way
with-
she's X, Y, and Z.
within the workplace, because, you know, they're getting attention that they maybe haven't had before. And then there's just a lot of things, and I also feel like the generational, it's a web of things that
Lord Jesus, please make me not the older woman at the office who just, like, is looking so stank, because it should be the opposite. You should be
because
looking
even
at...
I was in a group chat with some of the people that work there, and they were making comments of a girl that they did an action that they perceived as, you know, like, oh, she's, like, moving too fast, like, you know, she's gonna be having OnlyFans in a few days. And I was like,
Oh.
that really, like, rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm like, I get it, but, like, y'all were 13 asking for pictures of women's titties on your flip phone, like.
So where is this moral high ground?
And that really bothered me. And so I was like, And even there was another woman, and I think that she was a little, I don't remember she said anything, but kind of more subscribed to that as a whole. And I think that older women do. Like, there's a policing, and I've ever talked to my mom about certain, like, ideology. I'm like catcalling and things like, oh, it just happens. I'm like, it doesn't have to happen. Like, this is something that we've experienced. But, like, why?
But your mom also said something, and that's something I thought about this week. Like, will I be okay when it doesn't happen? Like, when you can walk down the street and you're not going to have men, you know, trying to talk to you, will that make you feel better? Or have we been so conditioned to think that that's a sign that you look attractive that day, that it may be like, dang, am I not cute today?
Well, no, and I think that feeds into, like, certain things. Like, you want to look good. Like, I don't think you go to work to look bummy. You have this certain image of yourself. So, yeah, you getting a response is like, but a part of you, I think it does feed. And I've been toying with that within myself.
One of my students told me this week there's a new behavior person that started. He's a male, conventionally attractive, and he thought that he was trying to flirt with me. And I was like, why would you think that? He was like, because you can probably pull any man in this building. And I was like, but it's because these niggas are easy.
I remember one of the students, it wasn't even me, but it was so funny. It's like, looked at this, he's just like, you look nice. And I was like, thank you. Y'all get it. I joke with my kids all the time. I'm like, you lucky your teacher's cute. Not everybody can say that. And then you're like, oh, you always say that. I'm like, it's still true, bitch.
That's hilarious.
But like they don't see it. But I think that there is a part, but I also think that within my experience, it's a little more complex. Being, you know, like, yeah, I'm like relatively conventionally pretty, but like growing up, there was a certain standard of a girl, you know, like there was a type, light skin, curly hair, that was kind of like put on a pedestal. And I think as we got older and we grew other features and attributes, we received attention, and like a part of it felt, you know, validating. And I feel like I've had a lot of experiences that I look back on and I realize, like, I did that to get validation in me thinking of myself attractive, and that is more of like a me issue. So, like I said, this is just all over the place. But, you know, I'm speaking facts, spin truth. That's where we're at.
But we've gone through everything. The shit that comes to our phone.
We just, you know, we had a discussion. Yeah, we've
some motherfuckers.
We did. I guess I'm gonna block my sub, but we're gonna post more episodes. Okay, there's one. Promise. Thank you for listening and spending this long time. I think, you know, it's good to come back with this long ass episode.
Yeah,
love y'all.
Making up for lost time. Goodbye, world.